Listen to this track, bitch.
Hello everybody, welcome back to this episode of Etching Scripts 101. It's your host Whitney, and today I'm coming at you guys talking about a little thing called therapy. Now today I just got distracted, but overall I just wanted to talk about therapy. I wanted to tell you guys my journey with therapy, and maybe you can tell me your journey with therapy too, when you send it to my email, just talking about it, right? So first off, I want to say, how you guys doing? My weeks have been great, I suppose. I don't know what else to say about that. So, of course, as you guys know, I, of course, have my notebook, of course, have my notes, of course, have everything that I'm going to talk about today, because I like writing down a script so that way I don't go off on tangent and I don't start not making sense. So let me just give you guys a little bit of a history with therapy and why I love it so much. So my initial thought of therapy was kind of like, I thought that you went to therapy to solve a problem. But let me start over. My bad, guys. So back in the day, right? Like a couple years ago, I think I was like 19 or 20 when I was going through some things. You really think was I really going through some things, or was I just being dramatic? No, this was a period where I was actually going through some things. And so some things that I was going through was that I was having identity issues. Like I was learning how to find myself, but I was doing that while being heavily involved with somebody else. And I wasn't involved with them as far as dating. Was I dating him then? No, I was wondering why he wasn't dating me. So there was a lot of insecurity issues. And then for the next 4 or 5 years, I was just going through a lot. I also discovered that a lot of the things that I was suffering in my childhood had a title to it, and that was anxiety. So I was discovering how do I now function with what I've been experiencing, right? Because it's not like I was handling it correctly. And also, how can I get to the best way that I can handle my problems effectively? And so that's what I've learned over the last few years, what therapy does for people. It's not necessarily you go there to solve a problem, or it's you shouldn't say, oh, I'm not going to go to therapy because why am I going to listen to somebody listen to my problems? First of all, you got to change your mindset on that. When you're going to therapy because you're trying to get a better sense of not only of who you are, but how you handle situations, how you handle toxic behaviors and your toxic behaviors. And overall, the end goal is to have a better change, or to just overall, in a sense, vent, right? Some people feel like they're great, right? And they still just want to talk to somebody who knows how the mind works and who knows more so how people work and how they can function with different issues and how they can, be a healthier person at the end of the day. And so mental health is not something that anybody should roll their eyes at. Anybody should kind of sit there and be like, why am I going to pay someone to do X, Y, and Z? Well, if that's the case, why are you going to pay a doctor to help your body, right? I don't know if that was a great analogy. I don't know if that was a great comparison, but at the end of the day, if your physical body needs help, your mental health needs help. Your brain literally is the thing that makes your physical body move. So why wouldn't you want a healthy brain? I digress. But aside from that, so overall, the lesson that I've learned from therapy is that therapy helps you, and the therapist helps you get to a better solution, right? Or I don't even want to say it like that, because you don't go there to solve a problem. You kind of go there to fix the toxic things within yourself, which I guess could be argued that is kind of solving a problem. But the way that I want to describe therapy and how I've learned it over the years is that therapy, or the therapist, guides you to making the best decisions for yourself. So they don't give you the answers. They just kind of be like, so why did you do that? What is it within you that made you feel compelled to do X, Y, and Z? What did that solve? What would that have accomplished, right? So I'm going to tell you a story that I had. Whatever, who cares? Let's rewind, right? So I was in therapy for about a year at this time. And so I was talking to this one therapist who I loved, and I wish he stayed, but at the same time, it's he was trying to do things better for himself. And I loved him to death. So I had him as a therapist, and I was going through a period where I was experiencing a heartbreak for the first time. I was experiencing grief, the loss thereof, not necessarily a death. And I was also experiencing a betrayal from someone I loved, someone that I had romantic feelings from for the first time. So this is a period where I was getting cheated on, right? And I was like not knowing what to do. I was going crazy. I was like, I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh my God. I can't remember how old I was. I want to say I was like 20 years old. But the thing that I kept going on is like, why? And I still have a problem with that today. I constantly ask, why? Why this? Why that? And another thing that I've learned from going to therapy is that sometimes you're not going to get your questions answered. And so at this moment, I was constantly asking why, like, why did this happen to me? Why couldn't you just be real? Why couldn't you just, X, Y, and Z, just overall, right? And so, one of the things that I learned was that the other woman was going to the same therapy spot that I was going to. And I also learned who her therapist was. And I also learned what her therapist told her, right? And so at this point in time, I was going crazy and I was like, why did this happen to me? And I attributed the problem to the other woman and her therapist. So the other one I learned, the girl didn't tell me this. Like the guy told me what the therapist said to her because she confided in him and then he told me, which is kind of fucked up, but it is what it is. We were young. And so basically she was going to the therapist for, her problems as well and things that she wanted to get better accustomed to, I suppose, or get better handled. And so she told the therapist everything that she was going through. And the therapist said to her, about my boyfriend at the time, like, you're going to have to tell him either you're my friend or you're my boyfriend because he was doing things with her on the slide. And so, like, to me, like, because there has to be a line crossed. I mean, not a line crossed. There has to be a line between friend and, not. So, like, to me, in my mind, I was like, why would you say that to somebody when they have another girlfriend? Like, why would you say that? Like, why wouldn't you tell her to stop messing with him when X, Y, and Z? And I had no proof that this girl told her therapist that he had another girlfriend. I had no proof or anything that, the therapist knew. All I heard was that, and I was pissed. So I contemplated like writing a letter, being like, you need to be careful what you say because X, Y, and Z. And so I told my therapist that because I was just like, I'm so angry and I even want to take it out on people who just, and I like one thing about me that I honestly have to say is that I am very aware of when I'm being irrational. Now, the decision to continue being irrational versus not is an iffy one, but I completely am aware of being irrational and whether or not I'm going to take on those problems. And so that's where my, I guess, toxicity comes from, I suppose, because like I know when I'm being irrational and I'm very aware of when I'm being irrational, but the question is, am I going to stop myself from being irrational or am I going to continue down this route? And so throughout the years, I've become very, very great at not going down the irrational route. Like I have to pat myself on the back and say like, Whitney, you've done a great job at like calming the fuck down, right? So in this instance, I was like, you know what? No, that's wrong because I don't know what she knows. And so she's just giving her advice off of what's being told to her. And so in a nutshell, like being mad at the therapist was just like, why are you going to be mad at the therapist? Be mad at both of them. But I went and told my therapist that, and he was just asking me questions like, what would that have solved? What would that have accomplished? He kind of looked at me like, don't do that. Like, and I was talking to him like, I realized that it's just like what I just said to you guys, I realized that it's really like, I don't know what she was told. And like, I'm just angry. And so continuing forward, we were learning how to kind of heal from my pain and continue forward without causing anybody else to feel hurt or like bringing anybody else into my pain. And so that was something that I really, really enjoyed and continued forward with as far as therapy, right? And so I continued therapy with him for like a year and a half, I think it was, or just a year, I believe so. And then I had a Black woman. The first one was a Black man. The second one was a Black woman. And now I'm going back to therapy and it is a Black woman. I personally like to have therapists who are, who come from the same background as me because I don't want to have to further explain stuff that I know that they're already going to know, if that makes sense, right? Like the same, it doesn't have to necessarily be down to the itty bitty, like they gotta be Haitian American or something like that to be my therapist. Like it doesn't have to be that specific, and I'm not saying that anybody else wouldn't know. about my specific culture, but like I would opt for a person of color first as opposed to not, because I don't know, it's just a story that doesn't need to be retold over and over again that they already know. So one thing that I kind of learned about myself with therapy is that you can't look at it as like you can't live without it type thing. Like for me, it's like you will never not need it because there's always something else that you can learn. But I don't want people to think that you can't function without it, right? Like I think everyone can heal 1000%, even if you just have like a couple sessions. I think it's very rewarding learning more about yourself because that is the whole point. And so overall, I think that whole perception of therapy needs to change, where people think that like, or like even like the same thing. The way that I can compare it is like the way that people think about sororities. I'm not going to pay for friends. First of all, you're not paying for friends. You're paying for, I'm not in a sorority, but like you're paying for a lifetime of connections, of brothers and sisters, of a family, etc. Overall, I don't know specifically, but I know that it's very rewarding, and to be in a sorority, it's great. You're not paying for friends, right? Because I'm sure not every single body in that sorority or fraternity is your friend. But with therapists, more so, you're not paying for somebody to listen to your problem. I mean, I guess you are paying somebody to listen to your problems. But the thing is like, that's not just it. You're paying for a healthy living. You're paying for a healthy lifestyle. Let's put it that way. And you're paying for a better you. You're paying for a change, right? Because that's the whole point. I don't want to say that's the whole point of going to therapy, but that's a lot of people's reasons for going to therapy. You see something in yourself that needs to be altered, and you want to alter it in the healthiest way possible, because there's nothing wrong with you. There just might be something wrong with how you're handling certain things. If I'm off center, like, fuck it, just don't worry about it, because I've been trying so hard to get this shit centered, and we just gonna deal with it today. So another thing, oh, I gotta leave my glasses on. I can't see. So another thing that I want to mention is that, oh, I already said it. It's not solely a method of problem solving. So, oh, I said it already. Wow, I'm already hitting these these ticks. You will never not need it. It is not solely a method of problem solving. Black men always say paying someone to listen to your problems I've heard so many men, and Black men specifically, be like, I'm not going to pay for somebody to listen to my problems. I feel like if anybody needs therapy the most, it is the Black man and it's the Black woman. And I really think that we need to change this stigma of like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. There doesn't have to be anything wrong with you to go to therapy, but I think we've been through some stuff that needs to be handled. Like, explain to me why you prefer a light-skinned woman over a dark-skinned woman and your mother's dark-skinned. Explain to me why you feel the need to do X, Y, and Z to these women. Why can't you handle women correctly? Why are you so broken to where you can't be happy in a relationship? Why are you always looking for a way out? You know? And this is for everybody. Why are you always looking for somebody who's going to do 10 times what you're going to do? And for me, that's because like I've noticed, like, because that's my issue, right? My issue is like I try to look for somebody who's going to do 10 times more than what I'm going to do. And my problem is like I got a big heart. I'm very kind. And my sister told me this the other day. Like it was kind of like a to me, because I didn't realize that that was the attribute that attracted narcissists. And I don't want to cut that out at all. I've already hit all my ticks for everything, because I was just talking and I didn't even realize that like my 3 ticks were like, you will not need it. I already said this: problem solving and incredibly helpful. So I guess we're just going to talk for like the next 5 minutes now, because I don't want this to be uber long. But so a couple attributes about me that attracts narcissists is that I'm have a big heart. I'm very kind. I like to have a good time. I don't like to have problems, and I like peace. But also one of the things that like I didn't realize it until like a couple months ago, and I'm going to have a video come out about that. But I realized my purpose and my why. And I thought I knew my purpose. No, I thought I knew my why, but I didn't know what my purpose was. And overall, for both of those, I like to help people solve problems. And so that attribute, which like I didn't know the name for it until like a couple of months ago. And I was like, wow, I actually really like doing this. And so that attribute just like attracts the fuck out of narcissists or broken men. And my sister like made it clear to me the other day, because like I was wondering, I'm like, I need to go back to therapy. And she's like, why do you feel the need to go back? Like, she was asking me why, you know, like the different things. Every answer I was giving her, she was like, why? She was like, let me tell you something. Let me tell you the why. Because you keep searching for a why. You keep saying, oh, you wasted your time. Let me tell you what everyone else knows that you're not trying to admit to yourself. Okay. Like, you have a big heart. You're very kind. And you like to, not I like to, but you, because of that, you attract people who are broken and people who are narcissists. You attract a lot of broken men, and it kind of sucks because they get with you and then you turn them into the man that you've always wanted, and then they go off and find something else, right? Why? Like, you don't want to be a stepping stone for somebody else, and you don't want to be constantly drained for somebody else, right? And so the thing about it is that I had to really sit back and be like, you know, that's true, because a lot of the men that I've dated, you know, I feel like everyone going forward is going to have something wrong with them, right? Like, me too. I'm with you. But the thing about it is, like, the broken men got me, because in my past, like, I don't want to say the plethora, but just the men that I dated were broken men. They had a lot of insecurities. They had a terrible past. They had something that they were, in a sense, running from. And even though they're a lot, well, I don't know. I know one of them is a lot better now. It's just terrible. And so another thing that I do is that I make myself incredibly available to the person, because I like to be there. And so that was taken advantage of as well. Once I had to focus on an issue that I was going through, I was, you know, kicked to the curb, because I could no longer be 100% available to that person. And so my sister was telling me, like, this is what you got going for you, and this is what attracts that. So maybe what, you know, you need to do is figure out how to stop attracting that. And so I kind of like was thinking about that. I'm like, well, I don't want to change those attributes about myself, because I love that. I love the fact that I have a big heart. I love the fact that I'm kind to anybody. I'm always kind to people first. You're always going to get respect from me first until you break that, right? Like, I'm always going to have a big heart. Even if someone's disrespectful, I'm just like, I'm probably never going to see your ass again. And if I do, it's probably going to be a problem. But like, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm probably never going to see you again. You're not going to cross me again. Like, if I feel disrespected, there's a way that I might come across with handling that issue, but that's if I choose to handle that battle, because there's a lot of battles in the world that are going to come my way. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't help me win the war, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I going to give that attention? You know what I'm saying? So my whole attributes, I don't want to change, but I want to be able to pinpoint, like, the narcissist in someone, so I can stay away from that. Like, I want to create boundaries more. I want to be able to move past this whole phase of my life of being the fixer, and kind of find someone who is on the same playing field as me. Whereas, like, yeah, we both got issues, but we're trying to grow and expand our lives together. Like, the past is the past. And even though it's affecting us today, let's grow, let's heal together, right? Like, let's build a better future. And that's something that I've always wanted. I never wanted to be stagnant. I never wanted to just, you know, focus on the past, because, like, man, like, the shit I've been through, like, I mean, it fucking sucked, but, like, I'm not going to sit here and harp on it. Like, I want to heal from it and move on so it can no longer affect me in my adult age, right? Like, for the rest of my life, I don't want it to have such a massive impact on who I am, if that makes sense, right? Because, like, I know that things like that, I feel like anything could have an impact on your life, whether negatively or positively. Now, for me, I just don't want to continue having daddy issues, right? Like, I don't want to continue having insecurities. If anything, at this moment, I am the most secure in, like, who I am and my outward appearance, like, both outward appearance and inside appearance. I'm the most secure because, like, I don't know how it happened. I don't know where the heck it came from. Maybe that's something that I can learn in therapy. But I don't know. I just had a surge of confidence. And the only thing right now that I'm not secure about is, like, I don't know. I'm a small frame, but I have large features in some sense. So that's one thing that I'm trying to get over. Like, I still don't like my nose. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't like how big my nose is, but at the same time, I like that I show my Negro features, right? And I don't think I ever hated my gap, but I loved my gap because, like, that's, like, the only tell sign that I'm Haitian, because, like, girl can't speak Creole. Bueno, parle Creole. Like, it's just not, it's around in my household, but like ask me to speak it, I'm like there's things about me that I like are a tell sign of my culture, as well as like the broad features. I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? Like, God, you trying to make a joke here? Like, I got stretch marks on my thighs. I don't have big thighs. Like, I have broad shoulders. I'm like, what the heck? And in order for me to stand, like, for me to be balanced, I got big feet as well. And I'm just kind of like, well, this is how I'm going to change that narrative. I don't have big feet. I just don't got no curve in my feet, right? Like, they kind of cute. Like, I kind of got to the point where I'm like, you know what? This ain't really that big of a deal. So why am I making it bigger of a deal? And I got there in that sense. I guess, well, that answers my confidence issue. I got there because of therapy. And so the reasons why I'm going back to therapy is because I realized I was suffering from recent trauma. Like, I knew it affected me a lot. But I didn't realize that I would still be going through this 7 months later. Right. And so I think I'm not trying to put anything on a time, but I'm also like, okay, so this is my year of recovery. How am I going to recover? And so I'm taking the steps to kind of get there. I'm not just going to say, you know what, I'm just going to do it on my own. You know, I've been doing it for this long. I'm just going to continue X, Y, and Z. No, I want to do something that's going to be the best help for me possible. And so in order for me to do that, I'm taking the steps to do so. And so like what I experienced in 2020, separate from what everyone else was experiencing, was that I experienced grief. Let's just call it grief overall. Loss of people in my life, and also transitions. There's a lot of different transitions that's going on currently, or that went on, that I'm suffering with currently. I don't want to say suffering. See, this is why I'm going back to therapy. So that's just what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Hopefully I inspired you to maybe go to a therapist, just talk about certain things. Even if like, I don't want you to view it as you're needing to solve a problem or anything like that, because you can just go to somebody and talk, go to somebody and, I don't know, just have a good time. Maybe you would be paying someone to just vent, but who cares if you have to pay someone for your services. When you go to a restaurant, you're paying the waitress, like you're paying the restaurant. Like, it's just like, I don't know. Like, I just, there's so many things that I want to say when people say that, like, oh, why am I going to pay someone to listen to my feelings? Why are you going to pay someone to cook for you? Why are you going to pay someone? I don't fucking know. Like, it's just like that sort of thing just really makes me upset, because I'm like, this is for your health. So, wow, I didn't say all of that just to force you guys to go to therapy. That's not my intentions. But I'm just telling you guys what I'm doing to continue forward with my steps in getting healthier mindset, you know, dealing with the things that I'm dealing with as far as like relationship issues, career, and just transitions and grief overall. And so with that, like, maybe I'll give you guys an update. I'll title this Going Back to Therapy Sucks. No, just kidding. But I don't know what I'm going to title this. I don't know what is going to happen next, but I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget, guys, if you're coming from my YouTube is WHITNEY'S. Don't forget to leave a big like, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so you never miss when I post a new video. Also, guys, if you're coming from the podcast, you can find me on everywhere, Apple Podcasts, what else is Spotify? I don't know what else is out there. Anchor. That's where, listen, like wherever you can find a podcast, that's where you can find me. My podcast is Etching Scripts 101. Thank you guys for joining me today. Also, I do want to let you guys know that while I'm talking about solving people's problems, I like to help people. And so in order for me to do that, I like to put out an advice platform where I give a lot of advice on my YouTube. And I also have a segment called A Writer's Scope, where you send whatever problem you're going through. It doesn't have to just be about relationships. You send whatever it is that you're going through to my email, and I will hopefully give you the best advice possible. Now, I keep everyone anonymous. I will make a video about whatever it is that you're going through and give you advice. And if you don't want to be anonymous, then that's okay too. Like, just make sure you mention it, because everyone, by like just the basic foundation, everyone is automatically anonymous. So my email is writersoneworld@gmail.com. I hope to see you guys in my emails, on the comments, subscribing, etc. Also, guys, give me a big thumbs up. No, like, how do you do this on the podcast? Give me 5 stars. That would be nice. Or leave your comments. You know, let me know what you guys think about, you know, this podcast in this video. Thank you guys for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.